589-560-KKTX. Corpus Christi Police Chief Floyd Simpson is in the box. So let me get to a phone call. Dick Musbarger is the president and CEO of Kingsville Economic Development. I've known Dick for a long time, and I had an officer, the base commander at NAS Kingsville, prior to this commander. And I found him to be one of the most exemplary people that I've ever met. I could see why he was a leader. I could see why people thought so highly of him. Myself, I could soak my underwear in gasoline and follow that guy through the gates of hell. That said, this stuff about what the Navy or the administrative arm of the Navy is talking about, and what the people who carry out the mission and missions are talking about, are two different things. Good morning, Dick.
Hi, Jim. How you doing?
I'm pretty good, considering that from an administration that can't set up a website to an administration that's got no idea what Ebola is looking like and may explode on us, to ineptitude when it comes to military, and just utter disgust with anybody wearing a uniform. I'm doing pretty good. And you want to take the word of an administrative bureaucrat over a man that is serving the United States of America. I don't get it.
Well, Jim, I've heard some of the comments your callers have made, and it's kind of interesting. I have to tell you, first off, there is a very similar situation going on in Maryland. Patuxent River, Pax River, Naval Air Station is the Navy's premier aviation test facility. It's not far from Washington, D.C., and there is a similar fight going on right now. There is a proposed wind farm that people are concerned that would negatively impact the radar capabilities at NAS Pax River. Now, the Navy has not fought or opposed the wind farm, but it's very interesting who has opposed it. United States Senator Mikulski, U.S. Representative Steny Hoyer, the county judge, a couple of mayors, and it exemplifies the dilemma in trying to protect a military base. The Navy has not taken a position, neither has the DOD. The Navy is probably engaging discussions in a memorandum of agreement on it. But all you got to do is Google Pax River and wind farm.
Is that PAX?
Yeah,
Pax River. All right.
And that's the abbreviation, but it's Patuxent River. But anyway, this has been an ongoing battle, and they're concerned about encroachment on the city. But the primary concern is the impact on the radar systems at NAS Pax River. Let me give you also a little background on what you and I have heard for a long time, the disconnect between the civilian appointees and the uniform members of the Navy. And the key person in the process from the Department of the Navy standpoint is the Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Installations. The previous appointee was Jackie Pennensteel, who was an environmentalist with a utility company in California. And we met with her a couple of times. And it was very clear she and her deputy assistant, were very supportive. As a matter of fact, I think you heard Mayor Fugate make the comment, quote, Roger Nachahara, the principal deputy for the assistant secretary, say that told a group of naval aviators that renewable energy trumps military preparedness.
Right.
Anyway, so this has been ongoing. Well, Jackie Pennantsteel had stepped down. Her replacement, Denny McGinn, came from renewable energy. He's a retired 3-star admiral, but his last job was heading up a renewable energy company. The guy that was appointed, and this is really interesting, the individual that was appointed by the Department of Defense to review all of these proposed wind farms and to rule on whether there was a potential for negative impact was Dave Belote. And Dave Belote never met a wind farm that he didn't like. He approved every one of them that came down the line. When Dave Belote left the job, he went to work for Apex. He was the site manager, or the site guy for the Chapman Wind Farm to begin with.
Wow. How convenient.
And that is the guy that was ruling for the Department of Defense on wind farms, whether they posed a potential impact to a military base. Anyway, that's kind of a track record on this thing. So I understand the confusion that people have, because it is. It's very difficult, because the DON, the Department of the Navy's official position is we have mitigation, and we can mitigate it. And they can do it, and they've got rag mapping, and they've got what they call curtailment, and they've got a number of different things, but it's all unproven. It hasn't been proven. And
why would you gamble the security of your bases on?
This is not a good time to do it.
I don't think so either. I'm just, and I'm adamant that a civilian, speaking for the Navy, especially one that hasn't flown planes. I don't know if the admiral ever flew planes, but I'm thinking if he's an admiral, the last time he looked at a plane up close and personal, it was something that was taking him on vacation, or a biplane if he was sitting in the second seat.
No, now Jim, I'll correct you. Danny McGinn was an aviator,
okay.
and he was a good aviator.
Well,
but
why would you? I can only think of one reason.
The administration. Yeah.
Well, look, when an officer would put his career on the line to buck the administration because he believed it was wrong and it was not in keeping, as I believe I heard him say, with the oath I took to do my mission and to protect this country, especially in light of what the last secretary said about green energy is more important than
military preparedness.
Yeah. I thought, wow, glad you weren't around during World War II, and that Pearl Harbor thing would have been really horrible.
Well, the guy you're talking about is a real stand-up guy, and we're both in agreement on that. And that made it, that put him under the gun. But anyway.
But this is Mark. So, and he came to council and I thought was very eloquent, but that kind of gets me back to my point. He's the guy. Now, this guy retired, but there's others like him that are going to move up the uniform system, that are going to be in positions to make decisions, and they're going to be difficult decisions. And if there's a wind farm close to a military installation, that's going to affect their decisions. There won't be a political decision; it'll be a uniform decision. And so I appreciated this gentleman coming to council a couple weeks ago because he didn't have to do it. And two, I thought that was profound. He's like, "Hey, I run a base. I was a military guy. I'm telling you, it's a bad idea." And it's hard for me. And we'll get a caller or somebody will stop me today and say, "Mark, that shouldn't make a difference. The administration says it's fine." I'm like, yeah, I just don't want to wake up 10 years from now and say to myself, God, was there something else I could have done to try to protect our facilities? And so that's a big issue to me.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
All right. I will check in later with you this afternoon, Dick.
Okay.
All right. I appreciate the time. Thanks.
Okay, buddy. Bye.
News Radio 1360 KKTX. Let me finish up on the phones here. Tom, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the Morning. Thank you for the call.
Good morning. Question for both of you, I suppose, both Jim and Mark.
Yes, sir.
The caller before, a lady, I believe you said was a candidate for something?
Yes, sir.
She mentioned something about a grandfathering that will not prevent a wind farm if there is annexation. And Councilman Scott, you said that's not
true.
That's correct.
So
explain it.
You want me to explain?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so it's my understanding they do have a permit. What I was trying to say is there's a lot of reasons why people develop or not develop projects. Permit just being one of them. The cost benefit analysis is one of them. If the city were to annex that property, then that would add whatever that is, 58 cents per $100 value to their cost benefit. These guys also have the opportunity to seek a waiver on the school tax, which the London ISD has told them that they will not get. So that's going to cost them $1. I think it's $1.50 per $1,000 in value. So there's other issues that impact whether they go forward or not. And I think, up until about 3 weeks ago, we were told by
if we've got all, we'll come back to the 3 weeks ago. But if we've got all of the, we've got all these other obstacles. London's not going to give them a school tax break, and now we've got all these other things.
Right.
If that's enough to block it, why annex?
No, the annexation is what could make it enough to block it.
Okay. Now you say could. Will it or won't it?
No idea.
No idea.
That's up to Apex to go forward. Although, if you look, that's what I was saying 3 weeks ago. They were saying, "Hey, it doesn't matter what you do. We're going to build it out." And we said, "Great. We're going to move forward on the annexation." And then 5 weeks ago, they went, "Whoa, wait a minute. Let's talk some more." So that does tell me that there is an impact on our decision does impact their development.
Okay, so annexation does not stop anything, is what you're saying.
I'm saying it. I believe it will, but I don't know it with
makes
certainty.
them reconsider, but it doesn't guarantee a block.
That is correct.
Okay, that's the clarification that I wanted to understand, because I certainly appreciate the Navy and all that other kind of stuff, but as far as honor, duty, country, as Jim was talking about, we got to be careful to not wrap ourselves in the flag and say, okay, well, this is going to help the Navy if we annex.
I'm not wrapping myself in anything. I'm telling you that I would take the word of a man who does the job.
I agree with you, Jim.
Every day. It's got nothing to do with wrapping myself in the flag. But he serves a higher purpose than a bureaucrat.
I agree 100% with you, Jim. But my concern is that annexation will not serve the purpose of what that officer testified to.
Well, he was at the hearing, and he wanted them to annex because anything we can do to be a deterrent to these people is a good thing. You'd rather do it than not do it. I know he's talking about somebody else's money, but I'm not sure. You've got 6 years after annexation to
I think you have 4 years before you put the infrastructure in.
Now, what's this about a special taxing district?
That is
works like a TIF.
Yeah, well, I think you're talking about the industrial district,
right?
Apex is in conversations with the city to say don't annex.
Where it would benefit only one portion of the city or something like that.
No. It benefits Apex. That's who it benefits.
Okay, so
it goes into the general fund. So whatever revenue comes out of the industrial district that might be set up would go into the general fund.
And you would use that
to pay for
infrastructure. All right.
Well,
confusing.
I would love to protect the naval bases as much as we can, but I haven't heard, and even Mark just said that there's no guarantee that annexation is going to prevent it.
Well, what are you going to get out of wind farms?
So you're saying we don't do it, and then they're going to build it?
Well, I'm just wondering how all those cost, because the other candidate person, whatever she was saying, something about $13 million.
That's correct.
And
pay for out of the
no benefit for that. So
I don't understand. So the $13 million. Well, that's not true, because it does. It provides infrastructure south of the Oso, which allows all that development.
I'm sorry, not no benefit. The no benefit to the people that are paying for it.
No benefit to the people that are the apex. You mean?
No, north of the Oso.
Whoa.
The people north of the Oso would be paying for that, as you said.
That is not true, and that is not true.
Okay.
That is. I want you to remember this. That is absolutely not true.
Okay,
because that's what they're saying, because that's the radio ads, and that's when I started our conversation today, and I said, don't believe a lot of what you hear between now and November the 4th, and that's one of them. The money to pay for the $13 million comes from Apex's annexation. That's really important to me, because we spend a lot of energy, and it's clear that we're not doing a good job communicating that, but no. The funds to pay the $13 million are to come out of that annexed area, which is Apex. And I'm sorry, I got heated, but it's important to me that you know that we're not taking it out of general fund.
It's Lago in the morning. News Radio 1360 KKTX. Chief Floyd Simpson in the box. You've got coffee with the chief coming up.
Yeah. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning.
I've been enjoying that conversation.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, you talked about that 4 to 6 years, that if the annexation goes through, then guys like me have to start thinking about policing that area and what I'm going to need, and so that's an interesting conversation for us. But yeah, we've got a coffee with the chief on the 26th of October, or 25th of October. I'm sorry, next Saturday, 8:30 a.m. McDonald's at 6 Points, 222 South Staples. So that's the 25th at 8:30.
Saturday week.
Yeah, and so the purpose of those is come out, have a free cup of coffee, kind of talk to us in a very relaxed type of way, and kind of tell us what's on your mind. Last time we were out in Cow Allen, turned out to be a great event. Many residents came out and very casually talked to the police, and we had, I think we probably adopted out a few dogs out there, and just kind of a meet and greet with the PD. So we're going to do that next Saturday, 8:30.
I was looking at some stuff online. I watched... I turned the television on. I thought I had it on one of the... I think I was looking for the... What is it? Barney and Company. And I hit a wrong button.
Mm-hmm.
I put the thing down. I came back in, and it was some kind... It was the G4 channel or something like that.
Yeah.
I guess, techie. But... They had Campus PD
yes.
on it. And just about the time I was getting ready to change the channel, I noticed a very familiar SUV. It was a Corpus Christi...
CCPD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During spring break last year.
Yeah.
Or last summer.
You never know what's going to wind up on those cable TV networks or stations, so...
Do you give your guys a heads up, or do these folks come to you and say, "Hey, we're going to be"?
Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. Particularly if we're going to be kind of the feature department, they come to us, and it's contractual. And I try to get all I can out of them by way of producing videos for us or some recruiting things or something like that. But if it's just kind of people showing up for spring break, you never know when you're going to be filmed.
Well, there was one interesting scene. Well, there were several. But there was this one at a nightclub.
Yeah.
A young officer was talking to this guy, and he said, okay, I'm going to give you a chance here. They want you off their property.
Sure.
So you either get somebody to come pick you up because you're just a little bit over imbibed.
Right.
Or I'm going to have to take you in.
I'm going to have to give you the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the guy's calling his friend, who supposedly is down the street, and the guy won't come get him.
Oh, boy. Well, yeah, if there's a police officer involved, he's probably overly imbibed himself, and so he doesn't want to join that party.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
But the comments on there were scathing.
Well, but they're mad at the officer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harassment.
Yeah.
Why didn't you call him a taxi? Somebody has to pay the taxi.
Seems nowadays if a police officer says hello, it's excessive force.
A lot of ways.
Yeah, just silliness. People seemingly want to bandwagon and join on some issue, and they want to be heard. Huh?
Well, get me to a place where I can more readily understand this. The guys who take the oath to be a Corpus Christi police officer,
yes,
are saying, okay, this is a dangerous job, and I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities. And that doesn't mean I'm going to pick and choose to whom I give a ticket. If you're speeding, if you're parked illegally, if you're doing this, if you're doing that, it's my job. I signed on for the whole thing. Unfortunately, there's not a bank robbery going on right now, or I would be there.
Correct.
But until that happens, I'm here with you.
Some of our guys, that's their job of the day. So when they say, don't you have better things to do? Well, actually, this is my assignment today. I'm part of the traffic unit, and this is all I do. There's other guys out there doing other stuff, but my focus today is to slow you down. And unfortunately,
it's
you're going to get a ticket.
Fault.
You're going to get a ticket today.
Okay,
sure.
But we run into this, and then I used to think that when we had a story. There was a story. We had an altercation at an apartment complex, and the guy that was causing all the disturbance, who had actually hit a couple of people, was put in handcuffs and stuck in the police car. He kicked the windows out and got out.
Sure.
And then people started screaming, police
brutality.
Yeah, used excessive force.
Sure.
That.
Yeah.
When he had slipped his cuffs in front of him.
Yeah.
And do you just get into places where people hate policemen?
I don't know if they hate them or if it's more, like I mentioned before, bandwagoning. This seems to be the issue of the day, and everybody wants to make a name for themselves. But the issue is that we operate in a lot of times, not most times, a lot of times, kind of a nasty business. And, I've got an academy class that's going on right now, and we teach them how to punch. We teach them how to take people down. We teach them how to kick. We teach, frankly, them how to fight, because we know that they're going to encounter subjects that are going to be resisting. And sometimes people will see police officers executing techniques that they've been taught, and they view that as being excessive.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say that sometimes, police officers can be excessive or force can be inappropriate. But, most of the times, I had, I guess it was 19,000 arrests last year. And we had, 25 or so excessive force complaints with 1 or 2 sustained. And so 19,000 arrests, 2 excessive force complaints, I think, or one or two excessive force complaints sustained.
And do you think these body cameras are going to help with that?
Yeah, I think it's going to document. It'll help us document, and in most instances, the officers come out on the positive side because people come in and they make these outlandish complaints, and then we go, well, you want to see the video? Well, that's okay.
There's a disconnect between.
Incidentally, we've been filing false claims on that. So if you come in and you want to file and sign this report complaining, and then we show you that you're lying, intentionally lying, then we move forward with charges against you.
Okay, that's a felony.
Yeah, I think it's a state. I think it's a misdemeanor.
All right.
Yeah.
It just seems you have the idea that you can say anything that you can back up, or you're living a relatively free life.
Sure.
And then a law enforcement official comes along and is going to restrict your movements for the time that he is talking to you until he gets an idea of what's going on, gets control of the situation.
Yeah.
And
I think the public wants us to do that.
Well, I do too. But,
yes.
But when you're handcuffed and you've got this, I don't know if it's an automatic thing or not, but it makes you kind of nervous to be handcuffed.
Sure.
And all the busts that I've watched, all the times that I've been on ride-alongs when it happens, it seems that the handcuffs make the person more agitated.
Probably.
Even when the officer says, you're not under arrest, I'm just doing this until I find out what's going on here. I just want you to sit down for a minute. If you're here, you can't cause anybody any trouble.
And I won't get hurt and you won't get hurt.
Right.
Yeah, it's for both our safety. Here's a staggering stat. 98% of the time, of those arrests that I just talked about, no force is used. People think that we're just out, having fun and beating people up. That's not what we do. 98% of the time, when we have to make arrests, no force is used.
And that's one of the things this Coffee with the Chief will try to dispel.
Yeah, CCPD is one of the cleanest police departments in the country. Absolutely, bar none. That's a fact. There's no corruption. There's no that I could speak of, that I know about, that I've heard of. So we're fortunate to be where we are.
The number is 560-5589. You got a question or comment for the chief? 560-KKTX. News Radio 1360 KKTX.
Hey, we talked about kind of the goodness of CCPD. I don't know if you saw the story yesterday on Channel 3. Joe Hendricks.
No.
So everybody knows about the triple homicide out there in Flower Bluff we had a little while back. And everybody knows about that little boy. Well, first of all, Joe, after everything is said and done, goes to the hospital, visits with the family, visits with a little boy.
Your officer.
Yes. Nobody ever knew. While they're at the scene, Joe notices, the bunk beds inside of the home needed to be replaced. Little boy, had dreams of an iPad and just kind of all kind of stuff that tugged on Joe's heart. So Joe comes back to the department. Email kind of goes around, hey, let's do this. Let's just get the kid an iPad, $400 or whatever that is. Well, nearly $5,000 later, Joe has iPads, bunk beds, all kind of stuff. And so again, without nobody knowing, I guess the media found out some sort of way, that is presented to the grandmother and the two boys. So, all of that, that doesn't get play. What gets play is kind of the saucy stuff, but, that's above and beyond, and that's a department that's operating in a very professional way.
Here's what bothers me sometimes. We'll talk about some of these issues, and it's not like Corpus Christi police officers live in a compound.
They have feelings, emotions.
Well, no, I'm talking about they live among us.
Yes.
There are some in my neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Great guys.
Sure.
I hear these accusations going around, and the TV people can't help it. If it's gonna, whatever it is, it's news.
Yeah. If it bleeds, it leads, right?
But I very rarely have a police officer's neighbor calling in and saying, "You know what? This is crap."
His weeds are high. He's loud music. He's got all kind of parties. They're good neighbors. And our city is different too, in that the bulk of our people live in the city. They live within the city limit. Yes. Yeah. And it's a blessing because many of our people have what we call take-home squad cars, and I get auxiliary benefit from that. So many people. You got a police
car in the neighborhood.
That's right.
Let's go another street over.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you'll see a marked squad car parked in many of our neighborhoods, and that gives me added coverage that I just get just because. And it's a good thing because many of the arrests you hear are people who are off duty, either on their way to work or coming home from work in that squad car, and something goes down and they take action.
Well,
absolutely.
Back in May, we had an off-duty guy going home. It was in the afternoon, and he notices a car that he hasn't seen in his apartment complex parked in a strange place, kind of hiding behind a dumpster. He goes over there, and they bolt.
Yes.
And he radios in. The next thing you know, you got two cars, and I don't know why the guy drove down my street. It's a dead end. But they caught him,
right? And
then they caught the guy that ran.
Yeah, and there's a dedicated officer who's actually, I'm done with work,
Yeah, he was done.
We don't make widgets. We're kind of looking all the time. So,
all right, Coffee with the Chief. We'll get to talk about that again next week.
Yep,
I appreciate it. I'm sorry I took up.
Oh no, that was an interesting conversation. We're actually going to be, if everything goes through, we'll be involved at some point. So.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Well, you be careful out there.
Thank you, sir.
Have yourself a Bluebell Country Day.